Star Trek Nemesis is the final nail in the proverbial space coffin. No, wait, it is a space coffin. And I'm not just speaking metaphorically here, because this whole movie reminds me of death. But who am I kidding? What doesn't these days? At what point did the Star Trek franchise go horribly wrong? Now, I ain't saying no one in particular is to blame. But what happened? When did Star Trek go from being a fun space adventure the whole family could enjoy to violent, dark, depressing horror movies?
Kill everything on that ship.
Now, I ain't saying all Star Trek didn't have its dark elements prior to this, but it was always done with a little bit of class, and it never really affected the whole overall movie. I don't think I've ever seen a movie like this, with mind rape, child slave labor, guy getting impaled on a spike and then pulling it through his own guts, horrific scenes of death, close-ups of marine absurdist, disturbing diseases, people getting sucked out into space. After the movie, I felt like going out coffin shopping. Do you remember All Good Things, the final TNG episode? What a fun, adventurous way to end such a great TV show. We see all the characters in different time periods, go back to the beginnings, see what happened to everybody. It was just great.
And as Earth dies, remember.
All Nemesis did was want to make me stop taking my heart medicine. So let's get started talking about this movie. Number 1. Star Trek X, The Wrath of Shinzon. So you have to be a total asshole not to see the obvious parallels between Nemesis and The Wrath of Khan. And I'm not mentioning this to say like they ripped off that plot or anything, but what they did do was rip off that plot. All it really did was shine a giant spotlight on how Nemesis failed to reach that level of quality. I got a feeling that a conversation like this took place.
Hey, we should make another Star Trek The Next Generation film before they get too old, one of them dies, or people stop caring.
Right. What should we do next?
Well, we slapped together the first one and it sucked. Let's not do that again. People like the Borg one, right? That was dark and violent. But then we slapped together the next one and no one liked that.
So we should make another dark and violent one.
That's right.
Yeah, we can get the best guys to work on it. 2 people no one ever heard of. Hey, maybe we could pay homage to The Wrath of Khan, because that was a popular one. We'll make it about Picard and Data. Again, let's not take any risks. Hey, remember when they took a risk on a weird plot about humpback whales and traveling back in time? Wow, that was a disaster. So let's make yet another movie about revenge and a doomsday device and violent space explosions, because that'll be a safe bet. So let's do an analysis. So we have 2 homosexual villains who both spent a long period of time in an undesirable place. Eventually they both get their own ship, a loyal crew, and the ability to escape and continue on with their lives. However, they both give in to their own crazy revenge. Fire! And mess around with the captains of the Enterprise and fuck themselves over in the most horrible way. Eventually everyone ends up in a space battle in a nebula, where communication is disrupted, as is their ability to accurately shoot at each other. Then the second most important character in Star Trek sacrifices himself so that a doomsday device doesn't kill the crew of the Enterprise. There's even a scene where both captains talk to the bad guy as a distraction while they secretly prepare an alternate attack.
Open a channel.
Put it on screen.
I hope you're still alive, Jean-Luc.
Oh yes, I am.
Khan, how do we know you'll keep your word?
Shinzon, I don't think I ever told you about my first academy evaluation.
So, lock phasers on target and await my command.
Phasers locked.
Fire engage.
The thing was, overall Wrath of Khan was a smarter movie. It was about Kirk dealing with changes in life, realizing he was getting older. It was also about Kirk never having had to face the no-win scenario. For Kirk, everything usually worked out in the end, but not this time. This time Spock died. You see, Kirk grew as a character. Nemesis lacked all these elements, except for people dying. All that happens really is Picard just discovers that if he grew up in a space mine, he'd just turn into a violent psychopath that pulls a spike through his own guts. Gee, how uplifting. Picard then just storms off the bridge at the end, and everyone is left standing around with this look on their faces like, this Star Trek shit's getting too violent for me. Nemesis just basically leaves you with this sick, tired, depressed feeling at the end. But couldn't they have ended it the way the show ended? The nice game of pinochle? Something like where you don't feel like slitting your wife's wrists? Oh, and unrelated news, Bambi killed herself in the bathtub after I found out she was taking money out of my wallet. I guess she felt guilty about it. Number 2, wedding bells. Nemesis opens at Riker and Troy's funeral. I mean wedding. Wedding. By the way, which is mysteriously lacking Luoxana Troy, whose only mission in life was to see her daughter get married. Now, Majel might have been sickly at that point from her leukemia, so I'll give that a pass, but I really think the writers just forgot.
Mother, why don't you leave her alone? If it weren't for you, she'd be married by now.
But anyways, a lot of people like to complain about 2 characters who are in this scene, Worf and Wesley.
Are you alright?
Romulan ale should be illegal.
It is.
A glass of Romulan ale, Doctor?
Thank you, Senator. The trading embargo has been officially lifted, if you were wondering.
Now, last time we saw little Wesley, he had quit Starfleet and gone around the universe with some weird guy.
Commander, how would you feel about being named Federation Ambassador to Kronos?
And Worf had been on Deep Space Nine, and then at the end he got made a Klingon ambassador. Now they are suddenly back in uniform and at the wedding. This doesn't really annoy me. It's entirely possible that Wesley got bored with the Traveler and came to his senses. Maybe went back to Starfleet. Same with Worf. Maybe Worf was an ambassador for a year and then got bored. You see, each movie the reason for Worf being there gets less and less important. First he's on the Defiant and is beamed over in battle. Then he's, was at a conference or something? Now he's just there and don't ask why. If they don't care, I'm not gonna care. In fact, it seems like no one cares about the accuracy of these characters no more. Michael Dorn put on 50 pounds since we last saw him. Picard is happy and smiling and completely out of character. And Marina Sirtis apparently totally forgot how to play Counselor Troy. Troy now sounds almost exactly like Marina Sirtis sounds in interviews.
Whether you're a real bride or a make-believe bride, you're the princess for the day. It's tradition, Worf. You of all people should appreciate that.
I'm not certain of that now, Captain. I do sense something unusual.
I'm proud of the work that we all did.
I'm not certain of that now, Captain.
Well, you're in quite a mood today.
My father was a Starfleet officer.
Enough about this crap. Back to the wedding scene. Now I'll tell you what really bothers me. It's them green plastic drum symbols. Why do they have to have space symbols? Is it to remind us that we're in the future? Look, the symbol goes back to prehistoric times, and you're asking me to believe that all the way from then up until the last couple of years they started making drum symbols in transparent green plastic? And if any is post a comment saying it's supposed to be some kind of semi-transparent green metal alloy that reverberates sound much better than traditional symbols, well then you ain't getting sent a pizza roll, you got it? Because we've consistently seen Star Trek characters playing traditional wood, wind, and stringed instruments all throughout Star Trek. Riker even played a fucking trumpet. None of these instruments have been turned into a transparent green plastic. Listen, enough about the symbols. My grandkids need their ear medicine. If you want to help, please mail cash only to Trump Taj Mahal Casino Hotel, care of Harry S. Plinkett, Slingo Mystery Bonus Slot Machine near the men's bathroom, Atlantic City, New Jersey, 08401. Continued in part 2.